doesn't matter that you're over 60. You can work out a whole lot more often than you think. Hey guys, I'm Mark McKillier with Live Anabolic, and today I want to discuss the question, how often should a 60-year-old man work out? Well, I'm 60, about to turn 61 in just a few weeks. And so I have obviously I have an opinion on this. And I think the answer is going to be surprising to a lot of you guys. It gets pretty complicated, and this is a loaded question. So I got 4 different things I've broken the answer down into, and I'm going to go through those in just a sec. I just want to remind you real quick that we got a Facebook group that's really cool. I urge you to join. It's free. Click the link below. I'm the moderator. I guarantee you, you won't be disappointed. It's a blast. So the age-old question, right? How often should a 60-year-old work out? All right, so guys, I get this question a lot. I get it in the Facebook group. I get it via email. I get it via direct message. I get it at the gym. I mean, I get this a lot. And the problem is the answer is not short and pithy and easy to explain. And that's a bummer. I know you guys would like to just right now know 3 times a week and then get on with the rest of your life and quit watching me talk. All right, so I have a workout program called Fit After 50. All right, so lots and lots of 60-year-olds are doing that. Lots of 70-year-olds are doing that. Even 80-year-olds are doing my Fit After 50 program. And you're going to be surprised to know that it's broken into 3 phases. And I have beginners, and I mean guys who haven't worked out in years and years and years, maybe decades, who are really out of shape, who are over 50, over 60. I have you guys working out 5 days a week in the first phase. And so you're probably telling yourself right now, Mark doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, all right, because that's way too much for a 50-year-old or 60-year-old to work out. Your body needs more rest because you're older. You need more time to heal and repair your muscles. Well, it gets complicated, right? So not all workouts are the same. And when I'm talking about working out, guys, we're talking about lifting weights. We're talking about doing resistance training, okay? We're not talking about going out and jogging, or getting on your bicycle or something like that. That's cardio. We're talking about lifting weights. We're talking about doing things that are designed to build muscle and burn fat and improve your testosterone levels. All right, so Fit After 50 has got 3 phases. In the first phase, you are actually lifting weights 3 times a week, which is a lot. And you're doing cardio, more specifically circuit style or HIIT style cardio, 2 days a week. So 5 days a week total. Sounds like an awful lot, but when you get into the details of my program, it makes a lot of sense. All right, so that takes me to phase 2. Once again, you're working out 5 days a week. Sounds like a lot. 3 of those days are still doing weightlifting, all right, resistance training, building muscle. But I have you doing the workouts completely different. All right, so it's not just that you're lifting weights 3 days a week, it's how you're doing it. It's how often you're hitting certain muscle groups. And I change it up dramatically from phase to phase to phase. We move on to phase 3. I have you lifting weights 4 days a week and doing cardio, real light cardio, 1 day a week. But those 4 days a week, I've radically changed the way you're actually lifting weights, the way you're doing resistance training. I've changed it significantly from phase 2 and from phase 1. All right. I have you hitting each muscle group twice a week. So it really gets complicated, guys. But to kind of sum it all up, just because you're over 60 doesn't mean you can't work out often. And by often, I mean 5 or 6 days a week. All right. I work out 6 days a week. And I'm talking about lifting weights and doing it with intensity and doing high volume, okay? But the way I do it, allows my muscles a full week to recover before I hit that same muscle group again. So we get into things like intensity, volume, and then the split cycle, how long before that muscle group gets worked again. And so that's a lot of variables. All right. And depending on how you tweak all those variables, you can either really screw up your body by working out too often, or you cannot get enough benefit out of your weekly workouts because you're not pushing yourselves harder. So it's pretty complicated, and I want to expand upon it a little bit more as I go through the rest of this video. All right, so that brings me to point number 2. Oh my gosh, this gets complicated. Not only is it the way in which you work out, it is you personally. What's going on with you? Are you a beginner? Are you an intermediate, or are you an advanced weightlifter? Okay. What kind of condition are you in? All right. And so that radically changes how often and how hard you work out. Okay. But trust me, guys, even beginners can work out more often than you think. It's just that when you do that, you got to really dial back the intensity, dial down the volume. Okay. If you hit your muscles more lightly in a typical workout, you can do them more often, okay? Even if you're a beginner. And that's literally how I design Fit After 50. I have beginners doing it that way, because if I had you hit your muscles really hard and then gave you a full week to recover, you would be so incredibly sore that you would never talk to me again. All right, you would never watch another one of these videos. So literally, by having you work out more often and having you dial down the intensity and the volume of each workout, your body won't get nearly as sore in my phase 1. All right, but I still have you working out often. And that's even stuff you'll read in the latest government standards now. They want you exercising, almost every single day. It just depends on the definition of exercise, all right? So advanced guys like myself can obviously hit it much harder, okay? But because I'm 60, I like to take a full 7 days off before I hit the same muscle group again. Now, I'm still working out throughout the course of the week. I'm just working on different parts of my body, okay? And then, you intermediate guys, you can have a little bit of both, and it's not going to take long before you go from beginner to intermediate. You'll be surprised. I mean, it's amazing. I do lots of Zoom interviews with clients, and I'm always blown away by how excited they are at how quickly their body changed and how quickly they progressed. So a lot of times we're just talking about a matter of weeks before somebody radically changes the way their body feels and is able to handle the workouts. We're not talking about, 6, 8, 9 months. We're talking about 3, 4, 5 weeks. And once you get over that hump, okay, you become intermediate, then you can start pushing yourself a lot harder, okay? And that's when the results really start to show, because you're able to push yourself harder. You'll be able to see faster muscle growth than someone like myself. I mean, it's almost impossible for me as an advanced, weightlifter to put on, significant amounts of muscle. I mean, I've just kind of reached my genetic plateau, but you beginners and intermediates are lucky. All right, you're going to see huge progress in a really short amount of time. All right, so that brings me to point number 3, and that is injuries, the inevitable injuries and what to do about it. That's another question that I just get inundated with on Facebook and through direct messages and emails and all kinds of things. Even our support group at Live Anabolic, they forward me injury questions that you guys send to our tech support guys. And they don't want to answer those kind of questions, obviously, so they forward them to me, and I help answer them. So, everybody's got injuries, and it's not just because you're getting old. I have a lot of friends that are 30 years younger than me. I follow a lot of guys online that are in their 20s and early 30s that are just totally jacked up, okay? And those guys, get injured on a regular basis. I'm always surprised about that. All right, they're always complaining about recovering from injury. So the difference is now that we're older, it just takes longer for the injuries to heal. I'm dealing with a golfer's elbow, some tendonitis here. All right, so I went on a golf trip a month ago, and getting ready for it, I went out and was hitting on the range a lot and practicing a lot, and I hadn't been previously, and so I wasn't in golfer shape. And so I've had this terrible, tendonitis here in my elbow for a couple months now, and I'm just having to modify some of the exercises I do. And sometimes it's as simple as just changing a position with your wrist. The way you hold a bar or a dumbbell makes a huge difference on my injury. And the same thing's going to go for you guys, whether it's your knees or your back or your shoulders. A lot of times just changing the way you do an exercise is the make or break for whether it hurts or not, and whether you can actually do the exercise or you have to skip it. Now, a lot of guys are going to get injuries that are so bad you just literally can't do the exercise. And I urge you all to send in questions on Facebook, because I'll look at all those questions and I will give you suggestions on replacement exercises. So guys with really, really bad knees, they can't do jumping jacks, they can't do any running in place, they can't do things that apply a lot of shock to your knees. I'll recommend those guys get down on the floor and do mountain climbers in lieu of some of those exercises, because a mountain climber is basically like running in place except horizontal. So it takes all the stress off your knee joints. So what to do, guys, when you have an injury? You got to suck it up and just realize it's gonna take longer to heal. All right, so that doesn't mean stop working out. That's the biggie. That's the important thing. You need to find other things to do. All right, so if you're trying to do a chest workout, all right, and doing a certain movement hurts, look for other chest exercises that you can still do that don't aggravate your injury. So that injury right there on my elbow really hurts when I try to do flies with the cable machines. It really hurts. But if I take my hands and twist them this way and do a fly, it alleviates almost all the pain. If I do a pec deck, all right, like this, instead of doing a fly machine, if I'm on a pec deck machine, I can do this. Doesn't bother my tendonitis at all. I can do a lot of pushing movements that don't bother it. All right, so I can still get in a chest workout, but I just have to kind of work around certain things that aggravate the injury. And that's the key. You want to try to avoid just aggravating it, making things worse. And then also, I'm just going to have to realize this is going to take months and months to go away. All right, so the fourth and final one, and I got to wrap up this video because my cameraman literally just fell asleep behind the camera over there. He kind of shot me. When I'm putting my cameraman to sleep, I'm really worried about you guys falling asleep. So let's wrap it up. How often should you work out, guys? I'm sorry, I don't have a pat answer for you, but it doesn't matter that you're over 60. The major thing I want you to take away from this video is you can work out a whole lot more often than you think. All right, just because you're 60 doesn't mean you have to dial it back to 2 or 3 times a week. I do not recommend that. I want you guys working out at least 5 days a week, but you need to know what you're doing. All right, too many guys I see on our Facebook group are creating their own workout programs, and they're asking questions that make me think, oh no, this poor guy is really doesn't know what he's doing. He's partially wasting his time, and he's likely to overtrain or undertrain or get injured. So I know I'm biased, but my Fit After 50 program really is a very well thought out 3-phase, 3-month program, and it has been hugely popular with guys. I can't tell you how many guys send wonderfully nice emails and messages to me telling me how thankful they are that they found it and how they love it, and it's interesting and it's difficult, but because it's interesting and difficult, it's somewhat fun. And when it's fun, you tend to stick with it, okay? And we have guys who've done the 3-month program over and over and over. They just repeat it. And of course, they increase the intensity every time. They increase the amount of weight they're using. They increase the number of sets or circuits. And they're pushing themselves and keeping track, trying to beat their previous records. But we have literally sold well over 100,000 copies of Fit After 50. So if you don't know exactly what you're doing, I strongly urge you to invest just a little bit of money and check out my program. All right, so let's wrap all this up. Guys, you got to stick with it, all right, because this stuff doesn't happen overnight. But I promise, if you stick with it and never give up on yourself, you will see absolutely mind-blowing results, even if you're over 60 like me.